So I'm speaking with Martin McDonagh, who's the writer and director behind films such as In Bruges, Seven Psychopaths, and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Martin, thank you so much for speaking today. It's a real honor. You're one of my favorite writers and directors.
Hi, Kaya. Thank you very much.
So I guess I want to learn what made you want to step into this world of film writing, screenwriting, and directing. What kind of made you want to jump into this completely different world than what you're doing in playwriting?
Well, I always loved movies far more than I love plays, so that was kind of the biggest thing. I from the age of, I know, like 12 or 13, I kind of fell in love with movies and never really dreamt that I'd ever be part of it.
Right.
But it was like the highest art form to me. And after like 10, so even when I was doing the plays and having some success with them, like the dream was always to at least make one good film. So like after 7 or 8 years of that, I started trying to write scripts, and then things kind of lucked out and fell into place after making a short film.
Right.
And I was able to make In Bruges. Yeah.
Wow. So what did you learn on In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths that you now applied to Three Billboards?
I learned not to listen to the film companies, and I think I didn't learn what to fight for and what to not worry so much about. I think you can, especially if you're someone like me, tend to getting into a war about every little detail. Mm-hmm. And after you've done a couple of them, I think you kind of realize what's important and what's not. But also then just like an ease of working with actors and with the crew, all of that kind of just takes a little time, and you need to do it a couple of times, I think, before you can naturally get comfortable with it.
Right. And what I really love about your writing is just the way you create characters. I mean, do you have a kind of a key secret to creating character voices? Each character sounds so different, and it doesn't feel like the same voice kind of in everybody. You kind of have everyone. Where do you get the perspective for that? Because you're not a middle-aged woman in Missouri who's gone through that kind of trauma,
No, true. Sometimes like it can just be like a line of dialogue can give you a character,
uh-huh.
and and then like doing something completely the opposite can give you another character. But I think like for Frances' character, almost one of the first images and moments I had for her in my head was her when she's talking to the bunny slippers in the room.
Right, that was a great scene.
But that kind of captured, for some reason, it was like, I think I wrote it down. I'm not sure I even wrote it down. I just kept it in my head. But just that image and that idea of her saying something, angry and broken and really swearing like crazy at these cute little slippers, and then find herself finding that silly and incongruous and laughing at it. It almost sums up the film in some ways, because we go from rage to comedy on a dime, as they say.
Right.
So that was, and then she gets up and goes out to rage some more. But there's a tenderness in that scene too, which hopefully the film has in places. So that's why that scene gave me an awful lot.
No, that scene kind of showed me her as a mother as well, kind of through all of this, in her raging kind of. And I don't know, it's almost childlike, but it was almost like a motherly thing to do,
Yes, exactly, yeah. And there isn't an awful lot of room, there aren't a lot of places in the film where that tenderness is kind of allowed to shine through.
Right, absolutely. Another kind of theme that I kind of noticed in your films, in Bruges and Seven Psychopaths and Three Billboards specifically, and spoiler warning, I'll put a spoiler warning on this whole thing, but you usually have characters kind of sacrifice themselves, which kind of helps tie everything together in the final act. Brendan Gleeson, Christopher Walken, and Woody Harrelson, suicide or sacrifice. Is that a theme that you keep in your stories? Is that something that you like to use? You kind of you make it so poetic. You make suicide so poetic in such a way.
Whoops, probably not the best thing to do. But no, I mean those things tend to pop up by accident. I never plot out a film before I've started. So what Brendan did in Bruges came as an accident. I mean, came as a surprise to me, just as much as it would to an audience. And what Woody does in this film, even though it's a very different kind of reason for doing it, that it came equally as a shock to me. I didn't even know that was going to happen until a few scenes beforehand.
Wow.
And again, and I can't remember. And the same with Christopher's character too. So, but no, it like you've only reminded me that it's happened in all three films now. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have. No, I wouldn't have even remembered that unless you told me.
Wow, that's interesting. So, my site is kind of dedicated to filmmaking as a whole, but I talked to a lot of composers, and you have such a great collaboration with Carter Burwell. His sound and style, it was such a perfect fit for, I think, your visual style and your writing. How did you meet him, and what made you in the end hire him and kind of keep him as a collaborator?
Sure. Well, I loved everything he's done since Blood Simple, which was, I think, his first film.
Right.
You know, the first film he ever made, I think. And that score, even at the time when I was only like 14, really stood out in my mind. And then, like, every time I liked the score after that, his name was it was him who did it. You know, particularly Miller's Crossing stays in my mind even to this day. So like people like him, it's funny that you have a dream of working with the best, but you don't think it'll ever pan out until you know you just write to them when you're in the position of making a movie and ask them. And he was, you know, always sort of the dream ticket for me. You know, he was always the best, and you know, but good people, you know, like making good movies. So he said yes straight away, and we've had a lovely working relationship ever since.
Absolutely.
It's funny though, like working with a composer, because you're hoping they'll come up with something tuneful and correct, and the great thing about Carter is I don't know where he gets his tunes from, but they're always so memorable and so distinctive. But they're never on the nose. Like if it's a sad movie or a sad moment, he doesn't play up that moment with strings, or you know, he doesn't tug at your heartstrings. He'll almost do the opposite to a degree. And similarly with a comedy scene, he won't try and, you know, help it or over egg it. He'll let you do the work itself. So he's the best. And with this, he came up with he saw a rough cut of the film, and he came up with this peculiar, almost spaghetti western-like theme for Mildred. He just played it on a piano for me, and it was amazing. It was not in a million years what I would imagine her theme would be, but it gave the film a whole nother sheen, and they took it to a whole different place, you know. And it does make it almost feel more like a western than a drama, which is great.
Yeah.
And I love spaghetti westerns, and I love Ennio Morricone anyway, so that was handy.
Yeah, absolutely. And how do you have to coax that out of him? Like, how do you direct a composer, or do you do you trust Carter now to a point where you just show me something that you're thinking of?
Yeah, you just trust him completely, and he'll have been like thinking about it since getting the script, and then getting the, you know, variations of the rough cuts, and you'll have talked things through slightly, but pretty much I kind of leave him to his own devices, because I know, you know, everything he comes up with is so brilliant and so beautiful. Like, I still listen to the In Bruges soundtrack because it's so, you know, perfect and audacious and beautiful.
Absolutely. And do you temp your movies at all, or do you kind of leave it blank for him?
No, with temp it, but strangely enough, his stuff really, really works anyway. So the temp music we usually use is Carter's stuff.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So, do you personally, as a writer, do you use music to help you write? I know a lot of I personally sometimes will do that. Is that part of your process, or do you have like a clean slate mind?
No, I have to have it completely clean when I'm writing it, but I write by sort of longhand in pencil. When I'm typing it up after that, I can have like classical music or something on, but I can never have anything with voices or with lyrics.
But what about how about film scores? Is that is something you listen to, or do you try
Film
to?
scores, not really. No, no. It's usually more sort of classical pieces, but I don't really listen to film scores to put me in the mood. No, I don't listen to any mood music to help me into a scene, for instance.
Right. And so the film takes place in Ebbing, Missouri, which is it's a fictional town, right? It's not a real town.
Yeah. No,
Um,
no, it's fictional.
what made you pick Missouri? What made you pick kind of the Midwest?
Well, it needed to be one of the old southern states, and it needs to be somewhere off the beaten track to a degree. And I liked that it had 3 syllables. So that was pretty much why we
It made
picked that.
it made for a really great title.
Yeah, it made it even longer.
So kind of at the end of the movie, and maybe you won't answer this question, but you leave it in this kind of ambiguous way of they drive off, and along the way they say, they're saying, are we really going to kill this guy? And they said, well, we'll think about
Hmm.
it along the way. I mean, in your head, I'm sure you know if they do or not, but do they? Do you think they do?
What do you think my answer to that's going to be?
I mean, you're probably not going to say it.
Yeah, I think I'll leave that one to you.
Great. Well, I don't think they do.
Same with In Bruges.
Yeah, I don't think they do. Well, Martin, I want to thank you so much for your time. It was such. I mean, I love the movie so much. It really stuck with me, and I just can't wait to see what comes next with you. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.